Alright, basically, all these Toshibas are pretty much the same. The newer versions, like those over there, this version, the older versions, I've got a couple of them out there, and a couple of them out there. But basically, this part of it is all the same.
Okay.
I've already done some, obviously, I ran some prints with it. Ran single and double-sided copies, so you can see those. I mean, that's all in the menus, the finishing. You can do a magazine sort. You can do this. This is the same as most all. Exposures and all that kind of thing. All pretty basic, scan, e-filing list. I'm sure she knows all about that. Then it gives you the drawer and the type of paper, all that kind of information in there, and so on. Now, when you want to do administrative things like color calibration and all that kind of thing, you need to get into the admin menu. The password on all these is the same. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Enter. Okay. Now you get into the admin menu and you can do all kinds of other things in there that most people don't want their employees doing. Under the general menu, you can set up a password. You get the display level. You can calibrate the panel. Simple things like that. Under the network, obviously, she does the network setup and everything, so it'll be important for her to get into this, where you can go in and set the dynamic or static IPs.
Okay.
Probably the same pretty much on most all copiers. The menus just look a little different.
Scanning to computers and setting up the shortcuts?
Yeah, but that has to be done over the network.
Yeah, so that's done over the network, and is the software easy to install on each particular computer, or do you have to
Yeah. I mean, she should.
Yeah.
She can go to the Toshiba website, download everything she needs. They don't send discs with these anymore.
No, yeah, I just had trouble with the other. I forgot the brand, but I had trouble. I got it to print over the network, but I wasn't able to get it to scan. So maybe it's easier on this one.
I have an IT guy that does it for me remotely.
Oh, okay, I see.
But if you guys are setting up the networks and everything to accept these, it may be something that he may need to go through with you the first time or something.
Okay.
I don't mess with it because I don't know anything about networks and I don't want to.
Yeah.
Every time I try to, I mess it up.
Yeah.
I even had him set up this one here in my shop so that I could just always use it. He puts mailboxes on all the computers and does
that
stuff.
Like that. She wanted me to go over the ink too.
Right.
I guess that's pretty.
We'll get to that here in just a minute.
Okay.
Most of this other stuff is stuff I don't even know about. Settings, you can do all this on this menu. You can use templates. I don't even mess with any of this stuff. I just leave it alone.
Okay.
Because these things do so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the manual's like 1,200 pages. It's crazy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things you can do on all these. You can do the magazine sort. As long as you have paper in both drawers, it'll sort the copies like this, that kind of thing. You can go in here and do a bunch of image control stuff.
Wow.
Pretty much the same on all machines.
Okay.
You can adjust the background, the sharpness, all this kind of stuff. So Most of the time I just leave that alone. I don't mess with it.
Okay.
I'm more about the electromechanical workings of the machine so that it works right.
Okay.
The other thing on the user functions under the admin menu is this energy saving. Machines come in here all the time, and for some reason people set the auto power save to 3 minutes. Well, every 3 minutes the machine's going off.
Okay.
I always set them to 60 and then let somebody else do what they want to do. And then the sleep mode is the same thing. I set this one at 15, but you can change that to anything you want. You just change it and it goes to whatever mode. But that puts the machine to sleep, the hard drive spins down, and then you got to wait for it.
I see.
So a lot of times I'll set them to 240 and then just tell people they can reset them to whatever suits them.
Okay.
Weekly timer, I don't ever mess with that. I mean, some people turn these things off on Friday night at 7 o'clock and then they turn back on Monday morning so they're all ready to go for the whole work staff, but this is probably something that you're not even going to
Okay.
worry about. Okay, we're out of that. Of course, you got your Zoom features on all this.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got your 2-to-2 duplex, your book, 1-to-2 duplex, and 2-to-1 split. So you can set it to do all that. Take a double-sided and make 2 copies. Take us 2 pages and make 1. You know, all that kind of stuff. I'm sure your mother knows all about that.
Okay.
Exit tray, exterior tray. That'll take up to, I think, a 19 by 48 inch banner if you want to print it.
Wow.
You just have to tell it we're going to the bypass feed. Something you probably know that I ship these all over the country.
Okay.
99 9/10% of the calls I get is somebody comes in here and they take this drawer and they put ledger in it, 11 by 17.
Mm-hmm.
And they think that the machine automatically knows that that's 11 by 17. They don't bother to go in here and go back to user functions, general. Drawer and change this to ledger instead of LT, letter.
Okay.
So the machine thinks it's letter, and you're trying to copy a ledger, and it jams. And then they call me and say, why is the machine jamming? Well, the first thing I do is tell them, what drawer do you have it set on? You know, you
Okay.
can go to your drawer, but you just got to set the drawer for the type of paper that's in here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you can have one for letter, one for
Because
ledger.
the machine doesn't automatically recognize it. If you put ledger in this drawer now, I mean, the machine thinks you're still going to have letter in there. It doesn't know.
Okay.
Okay. Pretty simple. That's
Yeah.
all. That's all. Nothing straight. Okay. Job status. This will give you your job status and what's going on. This is your log. You can print it or send it. This gives you your supply options. This gives you your toner. So that's down here in job status.
Okay.
Here you can set text photo, image smoothing, text, you know, all that kind of thing, depending on what you're copying. This is just kind of so if you want to show somebody this, you can.
Okay.
All this is explained in the Quick Start Guide, and I'll attach a copy of that I send out email with every machine I sell.
Okay.
And that way that gives, it's about, I don't know, I think it's about 100 pages, gives you all the basic stuff on the machine. Okay, that is this one. It's always best when you shut these down, and I'm sure other manufacturers are the same way, well I know they are. When you shut this machine down, you need to push this button, because that lets the hard drive spin down. Because if you just turn the power off, that hard drive in there, actually it loses power and it's still reading.
Oh.
So until that screen goes black, your hard drive will last much longer if you shut it down this way.
Okay.
And then turn the power off. Now, I'm not going to take this one apart, but we'll push this out of the way for right now. When you push these around, never push from here,
Okay.
because there's adjustments on the ADF. You have to loosen these screws and you adjust that ADF. Sometimes if your copies are coming out crooked, it's because the ADF somebody's pushed it around.
I see.
Now, might as well show you this while we're doing it. See these little things here?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll show you on this machine. I will pull that 45. I've already got the back off there. What you do is you take this screw out. And you screw this in. There's another one back here, but that one really isn't as critical. This one is the critical one. There's a little tab here. You pull that off and there's a hole. When this goes down, see, this one was adjusted right. We're pushing it around. There. That's got to fit down over that pin.
That's how you calibrate it.
That's calibrates it. Now, if your copies are still coming out crooked, this is the biggest problem you have with ADS. If your copies are still coming out crooked, you loosen these screws, and this is an adjustment screw. You have to loosen these up. Now this one's set right now, so I'm not going to mess with it. But what you do is you turn this to the left or right and keep trying it until your copies are square with the page. Sometimes they'll tail off this way, so you got to adjust this screw in order to get that so it's feeding in the photocopy right.
Feeding correctly.
Pretty simple. That's a pretty straight ahead thing.
It's simple, but it's not something I knew for sure.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of little things.
Yeah.
But that's sometimes, it happens a lot when people try to push these around and they push it from this instead of pushing it from the frame of the machine.
Yeah.
And what they do is they throw it out of alignment, and then the copy comes out crooked and they can't figure out why. Well, the reason why is because they've thrown this out of adjustment. They send two of these. There's another one that goes in right here. I never use the back one because it doesn't ever seem to make any difference whether I use it or not.
So that's not really a functional screw. It's just something you use for
This is
calibrating.
Yeah, it's for alignment.
Okay. Alignment. That's just where it's stored.
Right, they just store them here. And then if you have to loosen all the screws, it's easier to take this off. Then this flips all the way up. In other words, it comes all the way up like this. Now you can get to these
Oh, I
to
see.
loosen them up. These necessarily don't need to be tight because these are tight back here. When you loosen these, you can actually slide that back and take the whole unit off.
Oh.
if you want one.
Yeah.
This just stops it from flipping all the way back all the time. Okay. That's the ADF. Now I'm going to push this back in the corner. I'm going to get that. I'm not going to take yours apart. It's all just right. This is the same machine, different model.
Okay.
All these are basically the same. If you have to, I'm not sure how much you're going to be doing on these, but a lot of times, if you buy something from me and you buy it with the finisher, it's going to be already all set up. All you got to do is plug the finisher in.
Okay.
If say for instance you've got a customer that wants a finisher but they have a machine and you need to add a finisher, you're going to have to install one of these, which is a sorter board.
Okay.
And what that does, it lets the machine talk to the finisher. And where that goes is right there. See, this one's already got one in it. There it is right there.
Oh. And just mounts on there with using that
Plugs into
connection.
that plug. Yeah, you have to plug it into the board, and then you put the sorter board in there. It's got a little plastic clip on this side that pushes in and holds it. Then, once you put the sorter board in there, then you can connect the finisher, and that will allow the machine to talk to the finisher.
Okay.
What you have to do then is you have to go into the service menu and tell it whether it's a hang-on finisher or a stand-up finisher.
And this one's a hang-on finisher, right?
No, that one has no finisher on it.
Oh, there's no finisher on it.
There's no finisher on that machine.
Okay.
The finishers go. This is a bookmaker.
Oh, I see.
This is an 1101 finisher. And I'll show you a hang-on finisher. This is a hang-on. It just hangs on the side of the machine.
Oh, okay.
They all staple. The bookmaker actually makes a book.
Wow.
Staples it in the middle. I mean, it's a nice option. I get a lot of people that want to just buy bookmakers for their machine because then they want to make pamphlets. You know, like churches, a lot of churches will have. These staple. These will hold 500 sheets. Those stand-up ones like this will hold 2,000. And then I think the saddle stitch units will do 2,000 too.
Wow.
You are taping this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to get into really heavy technical stuff. I'm
Yeah,
just trying
fine.
to stay with the basic stuff that you're probably going to run into.
Okay.
If you have to change, well, if you buy a machine from me, this machine's got a fax right there.
Okay.
There's your network, your LAN connection, local area network connection.
Okay.
If you buy a machine from me and you want a fax, I'll either put one in or the machine will already have one in.
Okay.
Pretty simple to install, not real difficult.
These
If
are
you need to,
these are very customizable.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you need to change out a hard drive, say you got a customer and the hard drive goes bad, you need a hard drive. I sell parts to people all over the country. Actually, I'm shipping. I just shipped 4 machines and 2 drum developers and a fuser to Suriname. So I sell parts. I guess dealers in Chicago and all over I sell parts to. If you have to change out a hard drive, say the hard drive goes out in the machine, and somebody wants you to get them a new hard drive. So you call me and you tell me you need a hard drive for a 30 series machine.
Okay. Because they probably need an infrastructure already on there when you install it, right?
You have to download firmware
Yeah.
whenever you put a new hard drive in. The 30 series machines, you can reformat the hard drive without downloading firmware. On the 40 series machine, you can't do that because when they went to the 40 series machine, they decided, okay, when you reformat the hard drive, it wipes everything. It takes the firmware, everything. On these machines, you can go into the service menus and you can reformat the hard drive, and what it does is it just does a quick wipe of the data. It doesn't take the firmware off. So your firmware is still there, you still use the machine, but it doesn't do a secure delete of all the information. On those machines it does. Once you do a reformat on those, you got to reload the firmware.
Mm-hmm.
This is your hard drive. It's mounted right here. It's just an 80 gigabyte hard drive.
Okay.
It's mounted in all this steel, but you take this all apart, and it's just basically a small hard drive.
Yeah, just take out the screws and pull it out.
Yeah,
And plug
matter
it
of
back
fact, I think I got one right up there.
Mm-hmm.
Boards, I'm not sure you want to get into boards. This is the system board.
I see you have some memory there, standard
Yeah.
memory.
Yeah. And then you have a logic board over here. Sometimes on these machines, especially after they've been sitting around in the warehouse for a while, a lot of times the connections, like this little unit right here, this is your SRAM. This is where your counter is located and how many copies are on the machine. This comes off here in a unit.
Okay.
And a lot of times they just, from being moved around and everything, things don't seat right. Sometimes you just need to, you know, I've seen times where I just went and did this, you know, pushed on these things, and everything worked fine because these things get shipped from whoever leased them to a warehouse in a warehouse with 4,000 machines, and they set in there, which is not a temperature controlled warehouse, and then they get shipped to like me or somebody else, and sometimes just a little bit, the humidity will get these just a little bit so they don't make contact. So sometimes if you just do this, it
Push things back in place.
reaffirms the contact and everything works.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes there's a bigger problem, but
Mm-hmm.
mostly most of these machines have been under maintenance agreements, so they've been serviced by a dealer. And most of them are from big corporations, and they don't care about spending. They don't care what they spend. If something goes wrong, they just call somebody and say, "Hey, send somebody out to fix this."
Yeah.
Well, the guy comes out and he says, "Oh goodness, you need new drums. You need to replenish your developer. You need to do this. You need to do that." Well, maybe you really don't need all that, but since nobody cares about who pays for what's going on, they just do it and bill somebody.
Yeah.
That's just the way things go.